Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning, speaking with our friend Joanne Carpenter from Refuge of Hope. Good morning.
Good morning.
So winter is winding down. We are now into spring. Of course, we got hit with a snowstorm to welcome spring, but things are happening at Refuge of Hope as you provide shelter for people who need it, particularly in crazy weather. Tell us a little bit about the winter, Joanne, and how things have been going.
Well, one exciting opportunity we had this winter was we ran a women's shelter off-site from Refuge of Hope in a separate location, emergency only off-site shelter for women. And what we were trying to accomplish was to make sure that the women calling into the homeless hotline were truly homeless and needed a place to stay. And then we provided that for them. And we were kind of that stepping stone in between getting off the street, staying in a temporary shelter until the ladies could be placed in a longer-term shelter, either in Alliance, Maslin, or at the Y in Canton. Mm-hmm. And it was very successful in doing that. I would have to say that we had a very high percentage rate of women that we were able to, while they could hang in there with us just a little bit, that we were able to provide a longer-term solution to their homelessness and give them time to work on the issues that led them to be homeless in the first place. We had a young mom, was 18 and pregnant, and another young lady who was very young, and she was just a few weeks away from delivery when she stayed with us, but then was able to move into a longer-term shelter, deliver her child there, and move forward with her life. So some of the experiences that we had were so very positive and so moving in being able to help these women for the 4 months that we were open in the wintertime.
When you're providing services like that, it is so important that you're able to also have relationships with some of the organizations that help these people, as you say, address the issues that led to homelessness. I'm thinking of ComQuest and some others. Tell us about how you interact and really how you partner to be able to help these gals meet these very specific needs.
Well, I have to tell you, the continuum of care in Canton and in Stark County has been just instrumental in bringing a lot of different agencies together to say, hey, no one agency can do this all on their own.
Exactly.
It takes a team of people working together. So
some people might not be familiar with that term and that organization of the continuum of care. Can you remind us what that is and how that works?
Well, continuum of care is basically a group of organizations throughout Stark County, and they meet in the city of Canton to address the issues of homelessness and what's going on with the men, address issues of housing and the possibilities of housing. And that's where the women came into play, that they felt there were too many women calling in saying, we don't have a place to stay. And that's why Refuge of Hope stepped up and said, well, we'll take on that project. We'll see what we can do to help these women and how we can connect them with different agencies and services that they need so they're no longer on the streets and they have a plan for their lives.
Yeah, so often when we're talking about homeless women, we're also talking about homeless children. How did that work as far as being able to provide this temporary shelter this winter?
Well, at this time, we were only designed to take single women. We were not designed to take children. But I knew that before the 4 months were up, that we would have a mom show up with a child or two. And sure enough, the last week we were open, that happened. It was at 9:45 at night. The night supervisor called me and said, Miss Joanne, we have a mom here with a child. What am I supposed to do? And I said, well, you're supposed to take her in and provide housing for her and her 1-year-old daughter.
Oh, my, wow.
Fortunately, we didn't have a lot of ladies staying that night, and the 1-year-old wasn't disturbing to the other ladies. Living on the street is hard. Our ladies need their rest. And so we made it clear to the mom that she would have to find other arrangements for the child in order for us to provide her the safe place to stay and then connections to the agencies to benefit both her and the child in the future. And so we did that. Of course, we took the child in. We took the mom in. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah. How do you say no?
You don't.
Is there any talk of making this a more permanent solution in the future as far as adding women to the people that Refuge of Hope serves?
Well, we're primarily a shelter for homeless men.
Yes.
And that's what we've been. And we're a hot meal site for the community. So we do serve men, women, and children.
Correct.
Through the hot meals. And as we look at our future, what is God maybe putting before us? So I think the biggest thing that we need to do is be open and receptive to God's leading. I think we need to bathe it in prayer, and we need to decide as an organization if this is the right step for us to take, or if there's another organization in the city that is better suited for that. We certainly did well with the ladies, with what we had to work with and the off-site location, and it did work out well. It's not a setup like I would prefer when you're taking anyone into your home and trying to take care of them. We want to put our best foot forward. And there were other things that I wish that we could have done for the ladies. We did have a pizza party on New Year's Eve, and, we took hot chocolate and things down for them over the course of the time. And we had donations of handbags that were donated. It was great because they put in some personal care items, some candy, maybe a little gift card from McDonald's. And it was the ladies' own handbag, and they had their own personal care items. Wow. So we're so grateful to our donors, the way that they just stepped up and helped us to take care of these ladies.
There is a different mentality, isn't there? I'm thinking with homeless men, you're wanting to address the dignity issues, helping them get employment, back on their feet, to be able to be a provider again. And just the whole, with a man, the whole thing is respect. Just to be able to respect themselves and to feel that they've got the respect of others. With women, where all those things are important, you also have to address the frou-frou pampering, needing to feel like a girl, don't you?
Absolutely. It's the warm and the fuzzy with the ladies, and your heart just tugs at them. As a woman myself, I look at some of them and think, I've made bad decisions in my life too.
Exactly. Who among us have not? And there, but for the grace of God, go I.
Precisely. And so the compassion that you feel for anyone who's homeless, but woman to woman, there's a little bit difference. And society looks at a guy differently, a homeless man differently. You're a man, tough it out. You can do this, But as a woman, they tend to see, it feels softer, I guess is a good word to use. They feel softer towards the ladies, and tugs on the heartstrings a little bit more, because usually with the women, there do come children.
Yes. Who are the homeless in the Stark County area or in our region? Who are they?
You know what? There's about a third of the homeless population in Stark County that are homeless because they struggle with mental issues, unfortunately. And some of them will probably never come in off the streets. Some of them are out there because of their addictions. And for example, Refuge of Hope, you can't drink and stay in our shelter. Even the ladies could not drink and stay in our shelter. You can't do drugs and stay in our shelter. You have to be willing to change your life for the better. We're not just someplace that you can come and hang your hat and live your life any way that you want to. We're looking to offer people hope, and we're looking to help them resolve the issues that led them to be homeless. Sometimes it's a man that has lost his job, and he went through a divorce, and he went through some medical problems, and he's just too proud to come and stay at a shelter. So they choose, there's a population that stays out in the woods in a tent. Through all kinds of weather. So there's many different faces of homeless people in our community.
The attitude that I can change this, how hard is it to get to that point? I can remember making a donation of furniture to one of the shelters, and some of the residents there were coming in and they were interested and they were seeing what we were donating. And we said, now this furniture is for when you move out, so that to help you get started. When you get a home of your own, an apartment, when you're in permanent housing, you're able to take this furniture along so that you're getting started. And the answer was, That'll never be me. And I just was heartbroken to think that a person has hit the spot, hit the point in their life where they're thinking that they would never be able to do anything other than live in a homeless shelter. How do you move them from point A to point B? What do you do for them?
As believers, we understand that our hope comes through our relationship with Jesus Christ. But when you're in that position that you just described, people aren't ready to hear about that hope right yet. They have to go through stages. First of all, they have to understand that someone just loves them and cares about them.
Yes.
And they find hope in many different ways. Some people find hope in just a warm cup of coffee and a smile when they come into our meal ministry. For the men who are homeless or for the women who are homeless, it's a little bit deeper than that for them to reach down in and find hope in their lives again. So it's consistently loving. It's consistently being firm with structure. It's showing them and loving them in a way that they haven't felt for a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. And then when you do see the hope start to arise, it's a very exciting thing because you see sparkle in the eyes. You see lives starting to change. You see a smile. You see more questions being asked. How can I? Show me how. Mm-hmm. Let's do this. Help me to do this. Mm-hmm. And you see the enthusiasm and incitement coming, and that stems from hope.
Yeah.
Once they start to find the hope and once they start to see that there can be a change in their lives, and they see that you're loving them through the love of Jesus, they look at you differently too. Well, what's different about you and anybody else that tried to help me? Well, I have a relationship with the Lord, and I know that's where my strength comes from. I know that's where my hope is and my hope lies. And He's there for you as well. So it just opens all kinds of doors once hope becomes alive again.
Yes. It's so interesting to talk about the name of the organization, Refuge of Hope. And we address the refuge part a lot, refuge from all kinds of things, for whatever reasons that have led to homelessness. You are a place of refuge, but you are a place of hope, and you're getting to see what that looks like in a very real, tangible way that you describe. Let's go a little deeper with that. Tell us about then what happens once you see that spark of hope. What have you gotten to see?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Brent, who was staying with us for a while. Structure was kind of difficult, and he decided he wanted to move back out in his tent. And he was living by a creek. And a couple summers ago, we had some flash floods.
Yes.
And he woke up in the middle of the night, and the next thing he realizes is that he hears a noise, and he's wet. And he literally walked out of that area with a backpack above his head, and the water was already chest level.
Oh, my gosh.
So Brent came back to Refuge of Hope, and we allowed him to come back in, and he said he wanted to work on things that he knew that he had a problem with, and he wanted to accept the structure. He wanted to embrace the structure, and he wanted to start making positive changes in his life. And soon after, Brent was diagnosed with cancer. Brent went through treatments. He went to Cleveland for treatments, was there for a while, came back here, stayed with us again, found an apartment. They said he was in remission, and not so much now. The cancer is spread throughout his body, but Brent found a way to find hope, and he knows the Lord now.
Yeah.
So his life is okay, because even though he has cancer, and it's probably going to take his life at some point, he knows now that out of everything he's been through, his hope is in that relationship with the Lord, and that he will spend eternity with Jesus and in a healed body with no more problems.
Assuring not just that he finds a home here while on earth, but making sure that he has an eternal home in a very safe place with the Lord.
Absolutely.
We got to take a break. We're here with Joanne Carpenter from Refuge of Hope. Stay with us. You're listening to Our Community.